guys! Today I wanted to talk about my reading resolutions for 2017. I know a lot of people have been talking about reading resolutions, and last year Gretchen and I obviously did a couple of challenges. Some we did better on than others. And I'm going to keep doing that thing, not because I feel like resolutions should be some unachievable goal that you're never going to get, but it does make sense to me to choose certain aspects or certain parts of your reading habits or just your general habits to work on personally. Either it's something that you feel that you're lacking or it's something that you want to maintain. It's good to have goals. It's a way to measure yourself, and while it is perfectly fine to try really hard at them, it's also fine to not quite succeed. I never have an issue with not fulfilling a goal, just because a goal is something you strive for, and I feel like if you achieve all of the goals you set for yourself, you're not setting your goals high enough. It's super easy for me to set my Goodreads challenge at 25 books. I just have to write 25 books in that box, and that's something I can achieve no problem, but I don't actually push myself for that, and in that case isn't helpful to me. So the last 3 years I've set my Goodreads challenge at 50 books. This year I'm upping it to 75. Last year I read 78. The year before that I read 70. It seems to be about what I'm reading at this point in my life, and 75 I feel like is good because it's more than I read 2 years ago, a little less than I read last year. Hopefully I can smash that out of the park. I'm not quite as ambitious as Gretchen with 100 books because that's about 2 books a week, and I definitely don't read at that rate most of the year. So I don't want to purposefully cause myself failure, essentially. Outside of that, Gretchen and I are planning to do the Pop Sugar Challenge again. This time there are 52 challenges if you do the bonus challenges, which added 12. Obviously there's still the original 40. We talked about doing a couple of different challenges, but when we went through and were reading them all, the one that called out to us the most or had the most categories or subsections that seemed to go with what we wanted and in branching out in our reading, or just as something fun, Pop Sugar was still the one that we thought was the best, and I did write down all 52 because it's just more options. It's more things to try and think about when it comes to choosing which books I'm reading and pushing myself outside of my reading comfort zone. The next thing is a little bit of a surprise for people, but not super surprising for me. I want to try and make 15% of the books that I read a book in translation. Now, this would mean that if I do meet my goal of 75 books, 15% of that is about 10 of them. That's not that high, but I also don't consistently pick books that are translated. I do, when I see one that looks good to me, read it, but I don't look for or reach out of that comfort zone of things published here or in the UK. And I feel like that is a disservice not only to me, as I really care about translation, it's what I want to do, but also to the rest of the world. There's good writers everywhere, and not all of them speak English, so I'm going to try and at least do 15%. I'm going to keep track of this on Goodreads. I'm going to continue what I started last year, which is tagging all of my reading in shelves. So I'm going to create a translation shelf, and then at the end of the year I can have a little pie chart that tells me about how much I read of everything. Last year my biggest subsection was science fiction, which is a little bit weird as I didn't really think of myself as a big science fiction buff, but it would seem that most of the things that I looked into or really enjoyed or read just in a sheer amount last year, the volume of it was science fiction. So that was interesting to see, as I had never really tracked my reading habits in that way before, either by genre or page length or anything like that. So it's definitely something that I'm going to try again, and I might even make some more categories so that there's an even more interesting and diverse spread of things that I can see. The next goal might be expected if you watched my video last Friday where I talked about the 5 books that I should have read last year and didn't. I would like to read at least one book that's over 500 pages each month. I'm giving myself the whole month to do it. So, and it's only 12 books in total. I can obviously read more if I'm up to it, but I get so intimidated with a pressure to read in volume as opposed to reading just something I'm excited about, because all of those books are books that I'm really excited about, but I start reading them and I see the size of them and I think I could read 3 smaller books that I could review on the channel or things like that. Now, this does mean that I might not be making reviews as often as I was last time this year. This time last year, words, sentences, things. But I haven't really been doing a whole lot of reviews anyway, just because my reading habits have been null, because of like reader's guilt and pressure and all of these things, along with my mental health, making it difficult for me to sit down and focus and read anyway. Another carryover is obviously the Read Your Own Damn Books challenge. As I work in a bookstore, I buy a lot of books, especially right now, young readers. Every time I see a young reader, I'm like, oh, it's only $8. Like, a hardcover book is almost $30 nowadays, but an $8 paperback young reader, that's nothing. That's like less than I would spend on lunch one day. So I feel less bad about purchasing them, but I do then accumulate a bunch of things that I haven't read. I have been working through them as of late. If you follow me on Goodreads, you definitely will have seen a bunch of reviews on some of those young readers that I've picked up. I've been doing them as storytime books with Gretchen and with my best friend Taylor, who you might know from Bibliomancy, but he doesn't show up super often on like the channel doing his own content. So those are the 5 things that pertain to sort of reading and my goals in life. I do have other goals, like in general, to just be healthier. I got a gym membership last year and I was at one point going 5 days a week. I don't know if I want to make 5 days a week my goal. I definitely want to go at least once a week. 5 days a week was fine, and I actually quite liked the schedule of that, and knowing that I was like consistently doing the same amount of exercise. It's not to lose weight. It's literally just because sometimes, especially after the holidays, I would get winded walking up the stairs, and that's not okay with me. Along those same lines, I need to stop eating dairy products. I have been lactose intolerant for probably 2 years now. I really figured that out last year, but the last couple of months, because I've been sad and been depressed, I stopped paying close attention to what I was eating, ordering a lot of pizza, eating a lot of pasta with cheese, and I always feel shitty afterwards. It makes me feel sick. And I just don't want to feel sick all the time. So I want to do my body the favor and not eat the thing that makes me ill. Sometimes it's easier than others, sometimes it's harder than others, and while it isn't actually harming me, it does sort of affect my quality of life, so I will definitely be working on that one. What are your guys' resolutions, reading or otherwise? Is there anything in particular that you really want to push yourself to do? I definitely know I need to get back on the bandwagon of working on my languages more often, and obviously the being healthy thing is a common trope, whether it's to lose weight, to be more active, to be more fit, whatever it is. To eat better, things like that. Yeah, let me know in the comments below. We can discuss it. What are your thoughts on resolutions in general? I know there's some people who feel that they're stupid and making a resolution at the beginning of the year seems dumb, but it's something that I do. It gives a proper time frame to sort of look at and work on, because okay, I have 52 weeks and this is my goal. How can I break this down to a point that makes sense and makes it seem attainable? 52 weeks, 75 books, that's like a book and a half a week. I can do that. I can read a book and a half. That's not super terrible. That's 7 books, 6 books a month? 6 books a month? 7 books a month-ish? That's not bad at all. So make your goals, give your goals a time limit. It gives you a way to know how well you're doing. Even if the whole Goodreads, you're 2 books behind schedule thing gets you stressed out, it is good to sort of see that, because it does give you a more attainable, measurable way to look at it. That's all I got for you guys today. I'll talk to you guys again later. Hopefully you are still motivated in the new year. We're on week 2, guys. Don't start falling off that wagon already. And that's all I got. Bye.